Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to day 5 of Ditch Alcohol and Discover Your Purpose workshop. We are at the end of the week. I can't believe it went by so quickly. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for sharing your comments, your dreams, your limiting stories, all of it, right? We're all just being humans together. And I can tell you that I have been there with so many of those limiting stories that tell me why I cannot, right? I grew up speaking a different language. I grew up speaking Polish. I was always the foreign girl as I was growing up. I didn't even know English until when I went off to school and I had to be put in ESL classes. I grew up really shy and introverted. And so, I always felt just so different from everyone else. It didn't feel popular. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing in life whatsoever. And so I had so many limiting beliefs and so many limiting stories about what was possible for me to achieve my dreams. First of all, my dreams weren't even something I really conceived of before I ditched alcohol, right? There were these well, if a magical genie came into my life and granted me a wish, I knew what to wish for. But other than that, I wasn't actually thinking any of this was possible for me. And it was only when I reevaluated the role of alcohol in my life that I started to really question, well, why not me? Why not me? Why not me? And obviously, a lot of these limiting stories came up. The stories that we talked about in day 3 of why maybe you feel too old or not smart enough, or that you can't stick to a plan, or that you're not good with numbers, or whatever story we're telling yourself, that I always fail, or whatever it is. And I had to recognize all these stories that I had been telling myself for so long. And all of these things came to question because, for so long, I also didn't think that I could change my relationship with alcohol and actually be happy about it. I never ever thought in a million years that I could be someone who didn't drink alcohol and was happy about it. I could imagine that scenario where you stop drinking, but you're miserable. That I could imagine, but not actually imagining that I could ditch alcohol and be happy and thriving without alcohol. But here I was experiencing my first few months of alcohol-free living, and I was feeling good. I was feeling really amazing and just hopeful. And so all of a sudden, all these other beliefs that I had put up, I was like, wait a minute, if I never thought I could do this, but I'm doing it, maybe all these other beliefs are just limiting stories. Maybe I'm just making them up to prevent myself from getting hurt, A lot of times these limiting stories act as a protection mechanism. And then day 4, we talked a little bit about the growth that we have to do in order to overcome these limiting beliefs, in order to heal the reasons why we were drinking in the first place, right? We're drinking because we don't feel comfortable in our skin or confident. We're drinking out of insecurity. We're drinking out of pain or past trauma. We're drinking to numb. We're drinking to feel a certain way that we don't believe we can feel on our own. And being able to heal the reasons why we drink and really truly surpass and grow into the version of yourself that you're supposed to become is the most beautiful journey we could ever all go on. And thank you for going on this journey with me. So we talk about the growth lifestyle. We talk about having to really set up the systems and the structures in your life to pursue growth, to pursue not only changing these limiting stories, but then taking action on your dreams too. And today I really want to culminate by really talking about what it takes to leverage an alcohol-free lifestyle for any dream on your heart, and why you are in the most prime position, not only of your life, but you compared to all other people are in the most prime position to actually achieve your goals and your dreams. Seriously, if we go back to day 1, if you watch the replay or you caught me live, we talked about all the gifts we get from going alcohol-free. We talk about perseverance and presence and connection and courage and confidence and inspiration and intuition and creativity and integrity and self-trust. And all of those things are now here for you to lead you on to the next chapter. They're all here for you to lead you to the next part of your journey. And so we have to believe that something is unfolding for us. We have to believe that we're on this journey for a reason, that we might not even know what the answer is, but that we're on this journey for a reason. And in day 2, I asked you to dream really big for me, to really ask yourself, if I could do anything, what would I do? And I often ask this question by asking, what would you do if you won $1 million, right? Or 10 million or 50 million, whatever number we need to survive. And the thing is that oftentimes we think we'd get all this money and then now I can start living my life. I get all this money and now I can start living my life. And my question for you is, why do you need all that money to start living your life? Most of the things I read don't even take a bunch of money. Like nobody was saying, you guys, nobody was saying I would get a private jet and then I would go buy my private island and then I would, none of the things were these crazy extravagant things that need a lot of money. Most of your dreams are things that literally we can get started on today. I promise you. I promise, I promise, I promise. And even though it feels easier or that you have more permission to do it if you were to win the lottery, it's not required, right? You can create your own wealth. In fact, it's actually so much easier and so much more likely to create wealth by building it yourself than by winning the lottery. And so we need to give that belief back into ourselves that I create my destiny. I don't need anyone to choose me. I don't need to become lucky. And most of the dreams that I had such an incredible, incredible time reading don't take $10 million to get started on, right? Nobody wanted the private jet. Nobody wanted the private island. Everyone was talking about things that we could get started on today. If you wanted to travel more, for example, like why not start saving or getting points on a credit card and looking up those trips and deciding when you'll take off the work. And, there's so many ways that we can get started today. And I know, for example, that like when I have a big dream, like for example, I want to have a second house in the mountains. So I would love to have like a vacation home in the mountains. And, it's like kind of a dream, but it's not like the main dream of my life, right? Like I have a lot of other like career goals and such, but it'd be really nice, right? To have the second home in the mountains. And I think to myself, well, right now we don't want to and are not interested in like shopping for a second house or paying for the second mortgage and figuring out all that kind of stuff. So how can I live my dream today? If my goal is to spend time in the mountains, how could I start doing that today, right? And not that long ago, about a year ago, I decided, well, what if we spent 2 weeks in the mountains? What if we rented an Airbnb for 2 weeks, right? And so even though it wasn't like checking off this dream of owning a house in the mountains, I can start living that dream today by doing a small part of it, right? Like living for 2 weeks in the mountains was an incredible experience. I had so much fun. We'll probably do it again, right? So how can you start living your dream today? And I really want to talk about how you can leverage your alcohol-free lifestyle in order to do so. So another really fascinating thing that comes up is that oftentimes when we think we're going to get a lot of money as a windfall, we imagine ourselves traveling and just chilling and stuff. But the thing that I think really all stirs us is also having a sense of meaning in the world, right? Really having a sense of meaning and knowing that we made a difference and that we have a legacy, and so if you won $1 million or $10 million, but you still wanted to work, you still wanted to help the world somewhere and contribute in some kind of way and, be creative, because creative expression is your birthright. And I do think that when we just sit aside this idea that we're going to just retire and just live in a house and never come out, like we're ignoring the fact that our human spirit needs to be creative and we need to express our creativity and we need to share it with people. That if you were to still work with having this $15 million windfall, what would you do? What would you create in the world, right? And I heard answers from anywhere from wellness center to nonprofit to start, my graphic design business, like just so many incredible things. And so I feel like there's a very common type of dream. There's 3 different common types of dreams. Like a lot of times I hear women want to write a book. Oftentimes I hear that women want to start a business or some kind of movement and that they want to travel more, right? And so I really want to talk about some tangible steps that you could take in order to get started on those dreams, because you already have everything you need in order to do so, right? We don't need to wait for someone to magic wand or to cherry pick us out of a lottery to win. We can choose ourselves today. And you already chose yourself, just by being here, just by committing to the alcohol-free lifestyle, just by reevaluating the role of alcohol in your life, you've already committed to yourself. You've already committed to yourself that you matter, your well-being matters, your mental health matters, your sense of integrity matters, your self-trust matters, your self-love matters. You've already committed to those things. So can we just commit today that our dreams matter as well? Even when the world doesn't understand them, right? I heard some comments as well about, nobody believes in my dreams or nobody would ever think that they're possible. It's not meant for them to ever believe, right? Maybe they'll believe when they see the evidence in the future, but it's not meant for them to believe. It's meant for us to believe. Only you can believe in your dream. Only you can have the tenacity, the faith, the incredible perseverance to say, I don't know how, but I know why. I know why I want this. I know why this is meant for me. I know that it's unfolding for me. And these are the big dreamers of the world that change the world. Every single person that we know from history that had some kind of ingenuity or innovation or creativity to them, whether it's the great artists or the great explorers or the great inventors or the great human rights leaders, they all decided to believe in their dreams. They all decided to have faith over fear. They all decided to do the thing that the world couldn't quite see yet. They decided to actually be radical. And so I want you today to decide radically, even if you're not sure yet quite what your purpose is, decide radically to commit to figuring it out. Decide radically to commit to taking the small baby steps it takes to start going after your dreams. And so let's take a few, for example. Let's say you wanted to write a book. You know, a lot of women want to write a book. It's an incredible way to share both your creativity and your expertise with the world, your gifts, your perspective, your story. You know, it can seem really, really daunting because it's a really big project, and, you know, it can seem that, you know, you don't write well enough, or you're not disciplined, or you don't know what to write about, or any of these things. And the thing about writing is that nobody needs to crown you with the crown of author before you get started. To be a writer, all you have to do is write. And so if you set aside 15 minutes tomorrow morning to write whatever for 15 minutes, you are now a writer. If you set aside 15 minutes tomorrow morning to write, and again, you don't have to write a masterpiece. You don't have to write even anything that would be usable in the future. I mean, people like Stephen King and Ernest Hemingway, who wrote so prolifically, they wrote crap. They literally wrote crap. Their first things were always crap, but they didn't allow that to stop them. They didn't over-edit themselves. They didn't over-analyze. They just wrote. Just whatever comes out, just write. And I think that's one of the most incredible gifts I could have ever given to myself when I started my book, Euphoric, is I just decided that the quality doesn't matter. And yes, the quality will eventually matter, but it's not what matters at first. It's not what matters on the very first page, right? All that mattered to me was quantity. And by quantity, I just meant how much time can I devote to just writing words on a page, whatever words come out. And so when I thought about it that way, it took off so much pressure. It took off so much pressure of being some kind of genius or artsmith with words. And I just allowed stream of consciousness to come onto the page. I just allowed myself to express my ideas with passion. Passion, not over editing, not being overly articulate, just passion. What do I think about this idea, and what do I have to share with someone about this idea? And I just wrote. And I literally, when I look back at the very first few pages I wrote in this book, Euphoric, I just allowed myself to wake up, write 15 minutes a day, and wrote whatever came out. And 15 minutes a day meant that sometimes that writing happened when I was still in bed. I wouldn't even get out of bed yet. I wouldn't even brush my teeth yet. I wouldn't have even gone to the bathroom yet. I woke up, I grabbed the paper, I grabbed the pen, and I wrote for 15 minutes. And it didn't matter what I wrote, I just did it for 15 minutes. And then I got up, I went on with my day, right? And this pattern continued. This pattern continued where day after day after day, I wrote for 15 minutes. And again, I took off the pressure of making it perfect, and I took off the pressure of making it some incredible masterpiece, and I just wrote stream of consciousness, the passion that I felt for the ideas. And slowly but surely, this 15 minutes a day started adding up to more and more words. And if you've ever, researched how to write a novel or a book, they say that a novel or a book is around 60 to 70,000 words. And I had a really deep limiting belief that I could never write. You know, I had tried to write so many times in my 20s, and every single time I tried a new idea, like a new novel idea or something like that, I would write like a paragraph and then never touch it again, like never. So the fact that I was now waking up and just writing for 15 minutes a day, day after day after day after day, meant that within a month, I had a body of words, a body of pages. I wasn't even writing on my computer at that point. It was literally on these kind of notepads, just like this, really small ones, and I was just writing. And so from there, I kept doing it, and what I noticed was that the words kept growing, and the words kept growing, and it was like not that long that I got to that 50, 60,000 word mark. And even though the book wasn't really organized, and it wasn't really articulated very well, it was just me, stream of consciousness, writing about the topics that I was passionate about, I had crossed this line where I was like, oh my God, I have enough words now. There's enough words. I wrote a book, right? And it wasn't a polished book. It wasn't some kind of overly edited book. It didn't even have necessarily this beautiful chapter 1, chapter 2 flow to it, but it had these topics that I really cared about, that I really wanted to share. And once I got to the point of knowing that I could write a book because I wrote 60,000 words, I started researching the next step of like, okay, well, how do you get a nonfiction book out into the world, right? I didn't go back and overly edit that part now. I didn't like overly perfect it or anything like that. I went on to the next step. I went on to the next step of now, how do I write a book proposal, which is what you need to do if you want to get traditionally published. And then I followed the process for this next thing, right? And the thing is that every little thing I did for this book was probably like 400 steps to get this book from start to finish out into the world. But every day I didn't have to think about those 400 steps. All I had to think about was the first little baby step and the second little baby step and the third little baby step. And so at first, the baby step was just sit down and write for 15 minutes. I mean, I could do that. You could do that. He could do that. She could do that. Like anyone here on this planet could do that, right? And so what's really stopping us from going after our dreams when we break it down into baby steps? Let's say that you have a dream of starting a business. You have a dream of becoming a coach or like an online wellness leader or something along those lines. Now, again, it can feel so intimidating. Where would I start? You know, I have a full-time job. I don't have time right now. I want to be doing this, but I'm so busy with that. Like, it's just a pipe dream, right? And that's how it can feel. And yet again, it can start with the smallest baby step. You know, and I remember for me, it started, and this is just my process. You can find it with a few other different processes, but I just found that, you know what? Why don't I get started by getting a website? And to me, that was insane. Like, I was not someone who ever blogged before or ever was like really online. So for me in 2018 to go research how to buy a website and start a website was like completely foreign to me, so brand new. And I remember finding this page called Squarespace, which is now really popular in helping you buy and make a website. And, you know, maybe this is like super baby steps to some of you, but, you know, for some of you, maybe you never even thought about this. So let me just talk about it. I got on that page and I was like, okay, let's look for a domain name, right? Your www.blank.com. And so I found something that I liked based on euphoricaf.com. And I often suggest that women just go with their first and last name to make it even easier so you don't have to overthink the name. I bought the domain for $20 a year, which basically was one brewery tab, right? So it's like, again, we think our dreams cost so much and that we need to win $1 million to be able to go with them. But there's nothing stopping any of us in order to do these little baby steps. And I bought the domain and then I started working on it after work. After work, I started just, you know, massaging the page and then putting a few blog posts up and writing a few articles. And then I hit publish and then I shared it with the world. And then I started to look into how to get certified as a coach because I knew I wanted to help people change their relationship with alcohol. And I started researching that. And then I did a program and I got certified. And then I started putting my offers out on the internet and started getting clients. And the rest is basically history. Every little thing starts with a baby step. Every little thing that dream in our heart starts with a baby step. So if you have a dream of, you know, launching a business or being some kind of online wellness leader or doing anything in that sphere of doing something different career-wise than you're doing today, what baby step could you take literally this weekend to get started? You don't need the $10 million to get started, right? You just need to start with your baby step. And what often happens is that the first baby step will beget another baby step. And the universe and your intuition and just how signs work will show us what the next steps are. So yes, to get from point A to point C, you probably have like 400 steps and it can seem so intimidating because you have no idea what they are and how to get there. But it's not your job to know. It's not your job at this point to know what steps you need to take. Let's say that you're already, you know, working on your business and you're already growing an online platform and you now want to get to the next level, right? Maybe you want to write a book or maybe you want to, you know, go to 6 figures or even higher. All the steps involved, there's a lot, but it's not your job to know all of them right now. It's your job to just get started on the first one. Even if you're already working in this business, you can start brainstorming. how could I elevate my offers? How could I increase my price points? Or how could I attract more clients or customers into my pipeline? Right? And start just with the brainstorming. And then what can you get started on literally this weekend? And this is how that saying that goes, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? This is how our dreams are made. And the thing is that happens that I am so passionate about is that when we are passionate about our dreams, when we are passionate about helping other people, when we are passionate about expressing our creativity and sharing our gifts with the world, I mean, there's just no room for alcohol in that scenario. Seriously, right? Like your brain is so activated and so turned on and so alive with what's ahead of you and what you're building. And alcohol, especially when you rework your beliefs around alcohol and you change all of those things and you heal the reasons why you drink, oh my God, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you really ask yourself, why would anyone drink? Right? Because you're so alive and you're so turned on to this new way of living. Where not only are you alive because you're not putting a toxin in your body anymore and you're experiencing all the incredible gifts that brings, but you're also so alive to your passions. I mean, what does passion to you mean, right? Passion to me is when someone gets so excited and has something that they really want to share with other people. And it really doesn't matter what you're passionate about. Like everyone can be passionate about something super different, but it starts with finding our passion. And I know some of our limiting beliefs were talking about how you can't make money off your passion, right? I think I shared on another day, I didn't think I could make money as a writer. And so instead of actually trying to be a writer or an author, I just didn't try. And the funny thing is, I never even got to prove it to myself whether or not writers make money because I just didn't try. Like, I already failed because I wasn't trying. I was already not making the money. And the thing is, it's not true. I made a $125K book deal from HarperCollins. Authors do make money. Artists do make money. Entrepreneurs do make money. Coaches do make money. And so these stories that we tell ourselves that we can't go after our passions and we can't do what we love in our lives, they're not true. They're these false protection mechanisms that we say to ourselves to protect ourselves, but they're not true. And I just want you for a moment to imagine that you so miraculously, so luckily got to the very end of your life. You're 95 years old. And you look back at your life. And you look back with no regrets. Because you're so proud of yourself, the version of you who showed up and said yes to your dreams. You're so proud of the version of yourself that said yes to courage and did things that you didn't know how to do and took steps and got out of your comfort zone. I want you to talk to her for a second. Because the other version of you, 95, is the version who didn't do any of that. Who kept saying the limiting story, who kept saying the limiting belief, who never took the time to find her passion, who never took the time to figure out what she really wanted, and looks back at her life with so much regret for what could have been. That is the number one regret of the people who are dying. The number one regret of people who are dying is that they didn't go after their dreams. Maybe they didn't go after their dreams because society told them that that wasn't feasible or logical. Maybe they didn't go after their dreams because they never were really honest about what they really wanted in life. Maybe they didn't go after their dreams because they're too scared they were going to fail or be rejected. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not go after your dreams, right? But are any of them going to hold up when you're 95 wishing that you did? Are any of those things going to matter? For example, let's say that we're worried about what people will think. Let's identify who those people are. Are they the people that you're friends with on Facebook? Are they going to matter to you when you're 95 years old and you haven't talked to them in like 60 years or 50 years or 40 years? You literally haven't talked to them in 40 years and you're like, those were the people that held me back from my dreams? Really? Are you going to feel good about that? And so this isn't obviously something to say to put pressure on anyone, but it's just, this is life. This is our life. We only get one. This is the 1 in 14 trillion chance that you're even alive today. You are here for a reason. You are here to share your gifts with the world. You are here to help heal the world. by developing yourself and going after what you really dream that's on your soul. This isn't a dress rehearsal. We don't get another chance at this, at least not as far as we can prove. And so please, please, please do not get to the end of your life and regret the things you didn't do because of the limiting stories. Please find a way to work through those stories and commit to yourself that your dreams matter more than your fears. And that you are literally alive at this moment with this planet, with this awakening around alcohol, with this guidance, with this level of passion in your life because you're meant for more. And if any of you want any support and you want guidance and you want mentorship and you want a structure and a system of how to actually do so, I would love nothing more than to work with you and Become Emboldened. Become Emboldened opened yesterday. We start on June 14th. If you're interested in setting yourself up in a 4-month program that will give you the external accountability, the love, the guidance, the coaching, the healing of the reasons why you drank, the road map to fulfilling your bigger dreams, it would be such a pleasure to work with you. Such a pleasure. Oh my gosh. I really get so lit up with women who say yes to their bigger dreams. I think it's the most important thing you could ever do in your life. So you're not alone. If you don't know how to do something, trust me, nobody did in your shoes. I had no idea how to write a book. I had no idea how to launch a business. I had no idea how to get started. But I decided to find mentors who did know, and I learned from them. And I allowed myself to invest the time and the money to learn how to go after my dreams. And I'm so freaking proud of that past version of me that said yes to them. I'm so proud of her. So proud. Was it easy? No. Did she grow herself more than anything she'd ever done in her life? Yes. She grew past some of those limiting stories. She grew and changed her mindset. She learned the skills she needed. She practiced falling on her face too. But she also was so rewarded with the things that she really wanted. I want you to get to a point where you look back and you're so proud of yourself for trying. You're so proud of yourself for doing the things that your heart is calling you to do. And I promise you the guidance is out there, the tools are out there, the support are out there, the women who understand you are out there, right? It's so typical to be like the only dreamer sometimes in your social circle. Like your parents, your friends of friends, everyone's just skeptical. Everyone just thinks you have to get this full-time job and wait until retirement and have 2.5 kids and whatever stories we tell ourselves and drink every weekend, right? That's the American dream. I call bullshit. If you know in your heart that you're made for more, you're made to really go after the things that you want that aren't necessarily what society told you you should want, that's a clear sign that it is your destiny to go do those things. It is your destiny to choose yourself and your dreams so that you could be an inspiration to other people. It is your destiny to help other people. It's a destiny to find fulfillment for your life, heal the reasons why you drank, and unleash your bigger purpose into this world. And I am so inspired by women who are just willing to say yes to that voice. Women who are willing to say yes, even if they have no idea what the hell it's going to be and what it looks like. You know, I'm so incredibly inspired by the women who did the last round of Become Emboldened. Chrissy, for example, she wrote an incredible children's book called Miranda Learns the Art of Not Fitting In. And it's so beautiful because it just shares a child's story of finding her way through different social groups and really finding one that really speaks to her soul and not letting herself feel bad about not fitting in with people that she doesn't have anything in common with. And like, I bought the book and gave it to my niece, and another client bought the book and she's just sharing it, and it's helping the world. It's helping children. It's helping parents talk to their kids. And she is able to express her dream by putting her book out there. Now she's writing her next book and becoming a coach. We have women like June who literally heard that voice in their heart to want to become a motivational speaker, who was a teacher for so long and knew that she could inspire, you know, kids to be motivated to do their homework. If she could do that, why couldn't she share it from bigger stages? And she started working on her speaker profile and her signature talk and started looking for organizations that would hire her as a speaker. And then she got her first gig. You guys, I'm not naive. I'm not someone who is in like whimsical fantasy land believing that anything is possible if you just believe in your dreams. I've seen it. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again what alcohol-free women are capable of. Because you take every single gift that you've gotten along this journey, the self-discovery, the self-trust, the confidence, the courage, the self-love, the time. Oh my gosh. The mental time you get back from alcohol, right? Like it wasn't just the time that you spend drinking. It's all the time you're thinking about it. Should I not? Should I blah, blah, blah? Okay, but only 2 drinks. Like it's this like mental gymnastics we're going through in our brain. And the time you get back from not only ruminating about it, but also recriminating yourself every single morning when you overdid it, it feels so good to get back that time. And I like to joke sometimes that like if Einstein was like a heavy drinker or just a drinker, like we wouldn't even have the theory of relativity. Like if all he was thinking about over and over and over again was a drink and whether he would drink and how much he would drink and well, he feels bad because he drank too much, like we wouldn't have his genius. And you, my dear friend, are a genius. You, my dear friend, have a gift to share with this world. You have genius inside of you. And now that this beverage is out of the way, now that this beverage is cleared, you get this gift of mental time and energy back. You get this gift of creativity back. You get this gift of inspiration back. You get this gift of motivation back. I mean, how much higher is your motivation when alcohol is not around compared to when it was, right? We get all these incredible gifts. All of this is happening for a bigger reason. And if you are willing to believe that it's all happening for a bigger purpose for you, again, I would love nothing more than to work with you. Let me share a little bit about Become Emboldened so that you can decide whether it's right for you or not. It's a 4-month program. We start June 14th. We end in October. And not only are we going through daily and weekly content on how to heal the reasons why you drank, really become confident in your alcohol-free identity, learn how to tell people confidently, learn how to strengthen the connections in your life, find more alcohol-free women to be around. But also we learn how to set up our goals and how to visualize what we really want and how to execute our dreams. We learn how to write a book, for example, if that's your dream. We learn how to launch a business. We learn from incredible guest speakers who have already paved the way. So one of my favorite guest speakers, she was a doctor. So she put all this time, all this money in learning to become an MD and was a doctor, but she was miserable. So miserable. She hated working in the hospital for 16-hour shifts. She never saw sunlight. Like she was not happy. And it was one of the hardest choices in her life to decide that, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to travel. I want to help people in a much better way than the way I'm helping them now. I don't even have time to talk to my patients. And she decided to leave behind medicine and go into being a coach. And she travels the world and is a digital nomad. And right now she's in Albania. She was just in the Middle East earlier. She was in Asia. Like she travels all around the world and makes a 6-figure income from helping other doctors with burnout. Your dreams are possible, right? And we're going to learn from incredibly inspired women how. And you're going to get a free call with me as well in order to implement your dreams and build the roadmap that you need to achieve them. So if you're looking for mentorship, if you're looking for external accountability, if you're looking for guidance on how to do the things you want to do, this is the place to go. Now, I do want to say that it is meant for women who are already taking a break from alcohol. So if you're still drinking, it's really, really healthy and great to clear that first, to make alcohol a non-issue first. And if you are not there yet, ready to Become Emboldened, I recommend Become Euphoric, which is about clearing alcohol from your life first. But if you're already taking a break from alcohol, Become Emboldened is that next step to honor this next chapter that's unfolding in front of you and giving you a roadmap to achieve your bigger dreams. Now, you guys, I just want to share that 5 years ago, I could have never imagined that I would have been able to retire my husband and travel the world with him. I never would have been able to imagine that I would be hosting retreats in Mexico and Bali and Costa Rica. I would have never imagined that I could go to a bookstore and see my book and see my name, my crazy Polish last name, on the cover of a book. I would have never been able to imagine that I would have worked with thousands of women by this point. I would have never been able to imagine that I could have a multiple six-figure business on the way to seven figures. I would have never believed you. I would have never believed you that I could get on TV shows or be featured in articles or be on Jenna Kutcher's podcast. Literally, your dreams are possible because I know this process works, and I'm rooting for you, and I just want to be in your corner to do so. And if you're not ready for the program, that's okay too. I hope you found some inspiration within this 5-day workshop. I hope you got some clarity on what your bigger passions and dreams are, and a little bit of inspiration and motivation to get started on them today. And if you're ready to join us and to have just the most incredible 4 months of really discovering your bigger passions and unleashing them into the world, there's no better way than to join us. I would be so honored to work with you. You know, again, I want to go back and close on that 95-year-old version of ourselves. The biggest regret of the dying is not going after the dreams on our heart. And so all the things we said on day 3 about what's holding us back, is the 95 version of you going to care about any of that? We have all the fears here, right? The fear of failing, the fear of what people will think, the fear of not knowing what to do, the fear of not being good enough, all the fears here. But we have something much bigger on this side. The fear of regret. The fear of regret of not saying yes. The fear of regret of not trying. The fear of regret of not going after what's on our heart. To me, this one always going to weigh so much more than this one. This one I know I'm meant to work through. These things are something that will help me grow into a better version of myself when I face these fears. But I never want to get to that fear of regret. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it's never too late as long as your heart is beating, right? We can always redesign the life we want from this point forward. Because here's the thing, I don't know if I'm ever going to be on this planet again. I don't ever know if I'm ever going to be back here. Maybe reincarnation exists. I don't know. And I, so fervently in my heart, just want to know that I lived my life in the best way, honoring my dreams, honoring my gifts, making the world a better place. That is the greatest gift I think we can give to ourselves and to the planet, is standing in our purpose, standing in our fulfillment, standing in our potential. You are one of the most incredible women on this planet. Seriously. To have ditched alcohol, to have reevaluated that relationship in your life, to now be standing here being so honest about the bigger picture things. Most people won't even think about this stuff because it's too big. Not you, right? I hope you are blessed. I hope you found some inspiration. I hope you found a baby step to take. Let's all think of one baby step we could take this weekend that gets us closer to our dreams. Research something, go to this website, buy this course, find the mentor, have the conversation, look something up on YouTube. I mean, the answers are all out there today, right? One baby step we can take to get closer to our dreams. Thank you so much for joining me for this workshop. If you're watching the replay, I love you as well. I love all of you. I'm so just heartened to be able to connect with you. I'm so grateful the universe connected us. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, amazing rest of your week. And if you're interested and have any questions about Become Emboldened, please do not hesitate to ask. I would not be able to wait to work with you. I literally get so excited helping a woman realize their dreams because it helps the world. It really, truly does. Thank you so much.